Hi all, I'm the Kalinator. When playing a backgammon match, the correct decision is based, among other factors, on the current standing of the score. In this video, we're going to talk about what to do in certain scores and how your match-winning strategy may differ, both in terms of cube action and checker play. Stay tuned. Let's say that your opponent rolls an opening 4-2 and makes his 4-point, and then you roll a double 2. So if you're playing money game, your best move would be to make your 22-point and your 4-point, kind of preventing him from attacking and also starting to build a home board of your own. However, if you end up, for example, 6-5 down in a match to 7, this puts you 2 away and your opponent 1 away. Then your best move is by far to make your 4-point and the 11-point. And there is another trick. If you are 6-5 up in that match, so if you are 1 away and your opponent is 2 away, then your best move is by far to make his golden point, your 5-point anchor. Then you're safe, he won't win a gammon. Now let's jump into it and see all the possible scores and what to do in each of them. First of all, I want to mention a few general rules which will often solve you the problem before it's even started. The first one is about normal scores. That's at the start of the match, perhaps the first game or at 1-0 or at 4-3, 2-1 in a 9-point match, whatever, something like that, where the score is close and neither player is less than 5 away from winning. That's a normal score, and what you need to remember is your checker play and cube strategy is both quite comparable to money game. So as long as you do what you would do in money game, you'll do just fine, you won't make a big mistake. The second rule comes when you're up in the match by a lot, so maybe 6-0, 6-1, 5-0, something like that. 3 away, 8 away, 3 away, 9 away. Yeah, basically when you're up by a lot, then you become conservative compared to money game, much more conservative. You will double later than you normally would. You avoid doubling in volatile positions, and also your checker play becomes more safe, even if this might decrease your winning chances in this exact game, for example. However, this is to protect a big swing in your opponent's favor, which would maybe make your lead completely disappear, like if he gammons you with a 2 cube, for example, then he wins 4 points and your lead is suddenly gone. So if you're up in the match, you're more conservative and you try to avoid the big swings. The next rule is coming from the opposite side of the last example. So if you're down in the match by a lot, in the same examples, 8 away, 3 away, 9 away, 4 away, things like that. Basically, when you're down by a lot, then clearly you will have the exact opposite ideas as to when you're up. So you will start to double earlier, try to get those big swings. Maybe if you have a gammonish position, you double when you're barely a favorite. And also your checker play, you increase volatility, kind of happy, and try to get this big swing in your favor. That would be, for example, gammoning your opponent with a 4 cube, because after all, you need a way back in the match, and the easiest way is writing a lot of points in one game. And the last general rule we have is that if you're even away from winning, then this is much more dangerous than if you're odd away from winning. So let's say you're 8 away, this is much more dangerous compared to 7 away. And this is the same, 6 away is much more dangerous than 7 away or than 5 away. Basically, if you are even away, you will be more aggressive compared as to when you're odd away. And the same, if your opponent is even away, you will be more passive compared to when he is odd away. Now, let's jump into all the specific scores because they all have their tricks and we like to learn them. The first and perhaps most important specific score is 1 away, 1 away. So it's also called double match point. It's where the winner of the game wins the match, gammons don't matter, and there's no cube in play. It could be the last game in the match, but it could also occur earlier if there is cube in play. So when there is no gammons in play and no cube in play, we come to the following conclusions. So, first of all, blitzing is not an effective strategy because a lot of value in the blitz comes from the gammons, which, as we said, don't matter. Then the fact that it's only the win that matters also increases the value in running, and the priming game is also slightly stronger. And of course, if you end up playing a bad game, you have no problem with that. You're kind of happy to do that because you still win the good 30-40% playing a bad game, and the gammon losses don't matter at all. As a quick example, in this position I roll a 5-4 and I have the option to hit from the anchor. However, if you do hit from the anchor, you're quite open to lose a gammon. He has so many hits, any entering 1 will hit, any entering 2 will hit, any entering 5 will hit. So if you're playing a money game, it is not good to hit. It is by far better to come down and slot your 5 point, trying to build your board and hope to get a shot later. However, if you're playing double match point, 1 away, the last game of the match, then hitting is by far the better move. It wins 7% more games, and your opponent can never cube you, as we remember, and also he cannot win a gammon. Of course he can, but it doesn't matter. So that's why this 5-4 is a perfect example. Just increase your wins and don't care about anything else. And for another example, here again we are white, and we have a 6-4 to play. If we're playing money game, making the 2 point on head is really strong. You're going for the blitz, potentially you can even cube him next. However, as we said, in 1 away DMP, the blitz has 0 value almost. Because gammons don't matter. You can't cube, you can't gammon him. Well, why blitz him then? You have a very good 6-4 here, making his 18 point, making your 18 point, and it wins much more games in fact. You don't care about a gammon, so just increase your wins. After DMP, you've got to know about the Gammon Go score. This is when your gammons are really important, while your opponent's gammons are not so much, or basically not at all. The perfect example is when you are 2 away and your opponent is 1 away Crawford. In this case, if you win a single game, you will end up at a level score, which is 50% match winning chances, while if you win a gammon, you will win the match on the spot. So you really like to win a gammon, and you tend to play moves that win more gammons, even if they decrease your winning percentages by a bit. And of course, it helps that your opponent's gammons are not worth anything. For our first example, we have this 6-4 here, we are white, and again, if you're playing money game, you're happy to make the safe play, where if he doesn't draw a 6 or 5, he'll have to break something, you get a good chance to attack next. However, if you're playing at Gammon Go, you are 2 away, your opponent is 1 away Crawford, you are happy to already attack, hitting him with the 6 and coming out with the 4, because first of all, if he dances, you have a really good chance to close him out. After that, come around, just like that. And second of all, even if he hits, he will still be behind this 4 prime, and maybe he doesn't escape. You can get lucky and this can happen. So this also wins more games like that, and you're not afraid to lose a gammon, because after all, he's 1 away, he only needs 1 point. And of course, the main point is, when he doesn't enter, you will win many gammons from closing out and coming around with him having 4 checkers in the outfield still. So at Gammon Go, go crazy, just attack, 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 and attack. This is what you need. And the next example is this double 4. So we're starting to bear off now. He still has a checker on the bar and 2 in the outfield. Our gammon chances are not so strong, So if you're playing money game, your best move is to just play 4 from the 6 point and 1 from the 5 point. This is the most safe play. You don't leave so many shots, it's just double 6, double 5, double 4, and that's if he dances. However, if you're playing Gammon Go, you still have a slight gammon increase, of course, by taking 3 checkers off and playing the 4 from the 6. Of course, in money game, this slight gammon increase is not enough. But in Gammon Go, this gammon increase is quite strong because your gammons are, as we said, extremely valuable. So this is the other example. Increase your gammons, they're worth as much as winning the game. Now let's reverse roles and say that I am 1 away Crawford and my opponent is 2 away. What we just talked about tells us that he'll do his best to win a gammon. Well, this means that we have to try preventing it. This means that we may play more conservative moves, even if it decreases our winning chances by a bit, because his gammons are worth a lot and our gammons are worth nothing. So maybe you will decrease your winning chances if this decreases also his gammon winning chances. For an example, again we're white and we have a 6-1 to play, which gives us the chance to make a very strong position here, making our bar point and putting him on the bar. In fact, in money game, it's the only move, anything else is a blunder. It's something you play kind of automatically, right? Well, if you go back and think it's Gammon Save, well, okay, now it's Gammon Save, but okay, I'll do it again. And then you see, you still have this blot here in his home board. He has 11 in the zone, he's ready to attack your blot, and you can lose a gammon very easily. So instead, playing the Save 6-1, just safetying this blot, even though you're down in the race, it's much better play, because you can almost never lose a gammon now in this game. Your gammon chances to lose a gammon decrease by maybe 15%. And even if your winning chances also go down a bit, this is still a much better play at Gammon Save. Those were the cases that will occur most often for checker play, where you can make a big blunder by not having the right idea. And now we're going to look into some special doubling scores. So let's start at something easy, 2 away, 2 away. It is mathematically correct to double at 2 away, 2 away as soon as you have any kind of an advantage. Cube ownership has 0 value for your opponent, so you're very happy to send him the cube and play on for the match at DMP with this advantage. This also means it's not a mistake for you to double when you don't have an advantage, because you expect him to double anyway. So if you're unsure, just double immediately at 2 away, 2 away, and you can't make a mistake. In practice, however, it is a little bit better to maybe delay the cube a bit. And this is not because it's mathematically incorrect, as we said, it is correct. However, if your opponent is not familiar with the features of this score, he may end up making a mistake. So if, for example, he gains the advantage of the game and he doesn't know he has to cube already, maybe he plays on, he gets a too big of advantage, he becomes a 70% favorite, and then you can already pass when he doubles. It's too late for him, so he will have made a mistake that way. And the other mistake is if you gain an advantage and you become a little bit more of a favorite, you have some market losing sequences, and then you decide to double, but not immediately. Well, your opponent, if he's unable to assess the position perfectly, he may end up dropping the cube and giving you a point when he's supposed to take. And this is exactly the mistake you're looking for. And of course, when the cube is sent at 2 away, 2 away, it's already DMP and you know how to play it already. Next up, we look at 4 away, 2 away. So we are down in the match, we are 4 away, our opponent is 2 away. This is the most thematic score for doubling, because all it takes for it to become a double is a very slight improvement in your position and a bit of a gammon danger. For example, you open with a 3-1 and then your opponent runs with a 6-4. You end up in this position. And at 4 away, 2 away, it's a blunder not to double. In comparison, if you play money game and you double this position, you will make a giant blunder, see the analysis. And the reason it's such an early double at 4 away, 2 away is when you send the cube, first of all, his gammon completely matters not at all. So if he wins a gammon, it doesn't matter, he only needs 2 points, he wins 2 points with his cube. So you decrease his gammon value, and in the same time, your gammon value goes up, because if you win a single game, you'll be at 50%, and if you win a gammon, you win the match on the spot. So by doubling, you end up in a Gammon Go score, and you're very happy to do this when you're down. So at 4 away, 2 away, as soon as there is a little bit of a gammon danger, just send the cube. You cannot make a mistake. Now let's say we are 3 away and leading in the match, so our opponent is 5 away or more, for example. You hate doubling. You just try to avoid it. You will not double in a gammonish position. You will not double in a volatile position. You are much happy to win just 1 point. And this is because if you double, he has a good chance to effectively redouble you, and then first of all, you cannot win a gammon anymore, and second of all, you will be holding a 4 cube when you only need 3 points, and this is not efficient. So it gives him the chance for that big swing that he's looking for to come back in the match, and this is why you really need a very big advantage to double at 3 away leading. And as a general rule, you just don't ever double when there is contact. So if there is contact, it will either be not a double yet, or you have ended up in too good territory when you have to play on for an undoubled gammon. Of course, that's not always true, but it very much helps in general. And as I said, you need a big advantage. So when you're in a race, then you can double. You're kind of happy to double in a race when you're close to his stake point. And how do you calculate your opponent's stake point? Well, just watch this video right over here and you'll know exactly how to do it. Then you can also end up leading while being 2 away from winning, and then it's quite comparable to 3 away, just even more extreme. So you're even more happy to win an undoubled gammon because it wins you the match on the spot, and you're even more hesitant to double in contact positions because he will not even wait to recube you, he will just recube you immediately. So any swing will just win him 4 points just from nothing. And if you end up in a race, again, you're happy to double when you're close to your opponent's stake point, for which you know how to calculate it already. Coming to the end of it, let's look at the Crawford scores. So let's say we are trailing, our opponent is 1 away Crawford, and we already looked at that 2 away Crawford score, where it's really important to win a gammon, it gives you the match on the spot. And now you think, if it's so important at 2 away, then at 3 away it must be even more important. But that's not true. And let's think about it. If you're 3 away and you win 1 point, you end up at 2 away post Crawford, where you will send the cube on the spot and you play for the match. If you win 2 points instead, you will be 1 away and you play for the match. That's the same. You don't gain anything by winning a gammon. So it's the same at 5 away, it's the same at 7 away. And here's your general rule. If you are odd away, trailing at Crawford, just play for 1 point. Just play like you play DMP. You don't care about gammons. And if you're even away, then play almost like a Gammon Go, because you really love to win a gammon. Although at 4, 6, 8 away, your gammon is not as valuable as 2 away, but it's still quite strong. So odd away Crawford, play DMP. Even away Crawford, play Gammon Go. And you have another trick. If you're out away and in the end game you end up with a chance to win a backgammon, then go for it. Just maximum go for it, because your backgammon at odd away is even more valuable than your gammon at even away. And conversely, if you are one away and your opponent is trailing at Crawford, it's the same. If he is out away, then it's just DMP, you don't care about losing gammons, while if he's even away, then you play it almost like a Gammon Save. So out away, play DMP, even away, play safer. And to finish it all up, let's say you won the Crawford game and now you're trailing post-Crawford and you're able to use the cube again. So common sense tells you you want to double immediately, right? You don't lose anything by losing the game with an additional point, but you will win 2 points instead of 1 if you win it. Well, okay, you can do that, it's not a problem. But it turns out it's not that simple. And let's start from what we call free drop. Imagine you are 1 away, leading at post Crawford, your opponent is 2 away. He opens with 6-1, and then you reply with 4-3. You end up in this position. And then he sends the cube. Here is what we call free drop. Your take point is 50%. If you take the cube, you play for the match right now. If you pass the cube, you're 1 away, you play for the match from 50%. So now he has a slight advantage. It's a big blunder to take this cube. So this is what we call free drop. And if you are trailing at a free drop score, this is 2 away, for example, then you must send the cube immediately. Because if you have an advantage, he'll just pass it, that's good. If you don't have an advantage, he'll take it. But if you don't send it on the spot, he will pass it later. And you don't want this to happen. So a free drop score is post Crawford even away. So 2 away, 4 away, 6 away, 100 away. This is all a free drop Crawford post-Crawford score. Well, what happens though if you are leading and your opponent is 3 away, 5 away? Well, imagine the following scenario. He's 3 away post-Crawford and he's not cubing. You play the game, he doesn't double, you're almost starting to laugh. He won't double, oh, maybe he will only win 1 point, oh, this is so great. And then you end up in this racing position. And you see that you're quite a big underdog, you win maybe 10-15%, and he doubles, and you're very happy to pass and tell him, haha, you're such an idiot, you could have doubled earlier. And then he's just smiling at you, oh yeah, I could. Well, it turns out you're the fish and he's the fisherman. Because at 3 away post-Crawford, 3 away post-Crawford, 1 or 2 points is the same. If you pass and let him be at 2 away post-Crawford, you just double immediately on the next game and you play for the match. If you take, you have these 10% to win, and if you lose, you have another 50% from the next game. So, just as easy as that. Always take, as long as there is no gammon danger at odd away. And why no gammon danger? Well, if there is a gammon danger, it could end up being a correct pass. Like here, for example. Because his gammon is still really valuable, and if there are 0 gammons, your take point at 3 away post-Crawford is 2.4%, I think, something like that. But if there is gammon danger, if you may end up losing a gammon quite often after taking the cube, well, then you could have a good pass, and he could end up being the fish by delaying the cube. And now, let's look how to delay a cube. So as we said, if you're out away and you delay the cube, your opponent may end up passing with a good winning percentage. This is why it is an optimal strategy to not double immediately if you're out away, because in the first few moves there is nothing that can happen to make it a correct pass. However, if your opponent is not familiar, he could pass it and give you a free point. This is why, at alt away, it's optimal to not double immediately, and you still need to be careful. Now, let's look at this position, and you see that if you don't double and just roll, you can roll something really good, where you make another homeboard point, put him on the bar, and then he dances, and then next row it would be a correct pass. So when you have some market losing sequences, like in this case, then you want to double, because winning 1 point instead of 2 is a blessing, but winning 1 point instead of 4 is a disaster. So you don't want to really lose your market, and of course, as long as there is no gammon danger, if he has a 5-point anchor, for example, or a 4-point anchor even, then you can delay it as long as you like. Just double when you think there is a good chance he will pass. But if there is gammon danger, then double, because you don't want to win 1 point only if you can win 4. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it and find these advices useful in your next tournament. If there is anything you're unsure about or any backgammon related topic you would like to hear about, just write down a comment and I'll make sure to have it done. Now, to keep improving your game in live backgammon, check out this video because the race is very important. And have a wonderful day wherever you are. See you next time.